to Unstuck and Alive. I'm Todd Pinkston.
And I'm Stephen Neuner.
We have watched it happen.
Fear gives way to faith.
Isolation melts into belonging.
The stuck places break open and life begins to flow again.
On this show, we sit around the fire, so to speak, and listen to the real stories of everyday heroes.
Men and women who have found freedom and stepped into the unforced purpose they were made for.
If you're tired of striving, if you're longing to breathe deep, break free, and come alive again, then you're in the right spot. This is Unstuck and Alive. Let's go. All right, man. Here we go.
Here we go.
Hey, on this episode, I get to interview Stephen Neuner, lifetime entrepreneur. He's built and exited multiple successful high-growth companies, but without losing what matters most, without sacrificing the things that are so dear to him. Stephen builds great teams and lives with purpose. Stephen's a family man. He uses his gifts to bring others to a place where they can get unstuck and alive. Stephen, thanks for just the time that we get to share today, and excited about the conversation.
And thanks for having me. Thanks for going on this journey with me and sharpening me through it. You've been an incredible force and as way forward as well. Just in this journey, I'm just really excited. I'm just excited for all of it and what's going on right now and what God's doing.
Love it. Hey, let's start with your story. What has shaped you in life to get to where you are today?
You got about 40 hours, right? It's nuts. It's really funny, Todd. What I would say, and I can kind of go through probably some highlights, but I'll set the table, which is all the things that I have been most embarrassed of, that I've struggled the most with, that I have been the most stuck and the least unalive in, ironically have been the most fruitful things in my life. And I feel like my greatest acts of service and purpose. So happy to share, some of the things that shaped the journey. I would say, since we're talking about Unstuck and Alive, it'd be very difficult not to talk about early part of my life.
Yeah.
From the early stage that I can remember, I have struggled with the subject of purpose. My brother, when I was 3 years old, passed away. So he died real early. He was about 9 months old, and my parents are awesome people. They just have really, really, struggled with relationships, and God's transformed a lot of that. But the, early years, that was, my brother's passing was just sort of the camel that broke the straw's back. And so my mom left. Me and my dad just kind of took off and moved across the country. And my dad, went from, being married and having 2 kids to being single and having 1 kid. And, he didn't have probably good ways of grieving. He'd even tell you that himself. And so the way that he, solved that problem in his life was he really threw himself into work, and he really, committed himself, stayed committed to having a relationship. He wanted, I think, to be married. So, that made, he never said this, and he never did really anything wrong. I'm really grateful for my father. What I will tell you, though, is as a young kid, not understanding a lot of the stuff that was going around with me from the early stage, I remember feeling like the question, why am I here? Why am I here? If I had died and not my brother, would my dad be happier? He's not happy. He's struggling. I could sense that from the youngest age as a kid, right? And my mom was just gone, and so, was it my fault? Why am I here? And so I felt like a disappointment. Again, my dad never once told me I didn't matter. In fact, I realized how much I did matter, but I just didn't have a way of understanding it. And there wasn't, even if he had communicated, I'm not sure that I would have got it right. And so
Yep.
that was a really, really quick, overview of what like was a big part of my childhood. There were wonderful moments, and we had, my dad and I had some really great moments along the way. But it would ebb and flow with work as a single father, or him courting and getting married and divorced. I have 7 marriages between my two parents and a couple of engagements that didn't make the altar. So there was just a lot of um, chaos and like filling the void, and just sort of feeling as a kid, again, just lost in the mix of that. Right. Um, fast. I can go sort of like I've got sort of just a
Yeah.
few. Yeah. So fast forward with that a bit, we end up in Texas. So my dad meets a woman. His ended up becoming his third wife. We moved across the country for her, and you know their relationship struggled, and she had my dad was really committed to making that work, and there was a time where it basically came to a head, and she was really convinced that I was the problem in their marriage, in their relationship, and so it was it was kind of a tough time. But I remember I wasn't quite old enough to go to military school, but like it had been threatened. But I'm really, really grateful, because I ended up, the people that took me in were my grandparents, my grandma and grandpa Tilson. Um, and so I went as 13-year-old, left, and went and lived with them, and they took me in, and I lived with them for just a year. But what I can tell you, that it was just an absolute unexpected oasis in my life as a kid. Um,
Hmm.
they were just amazing, truly amazing people. My I could go on about both of them. It's hard for me not to go on about specifically my grandpa Tilson, because of the stage I was in my life. I was 13 years old, feeling a bit lost. My relationship with my dad, I felt sort of abandoned. And here's this guy who just took me under his wing, right? He just took me under his wing, and he was an entrepreneur, really, really cool guy. And they had a little business that he and my grandma operated together, and they had a team, and they basically were in the technology business. They'd um, go to school districts and pick up VCRs and TVs and microfiche. I can't even say the word, and overhead projectors. This is how long ago this was, and load them into a station wagon. And I was the muscle, and I'd load the station wagon with them, and I'd go to all these school districts around Missouri, and he would make that station wagon. He'd peg it. I remember 85 miles an hour was the top speed limit. He would peg it. So I have no idea how fast they're going, but I just felt like I was on this incredible adventure. And I loved my grandpa, and I loved working with him. And he was a super habitual person. We ate at
Hmm.
McDonald's every single day. I'm probably going to die of cancer earlier because of it, but um, it was just one of those just sweet things. But the biggest thing was my grandpa, uh, really seeing my grandparents work together, and be married, and see how they interacted with each other. It wasn't uncommon for me for stuff to get thrown, or holes in walls, or tires slashed, or police showing up to break up fights. And so I'm all of a sudden moved to this like, again, just this oasis where these two people, it's like they disagreed on stuff, but it's like, man, they just worked it out. Like there was no, it wasn't they didn't have fire, but they didn't have like uncontrolled fire, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
was uh it was so crazy. In fact, my grandpa joked that the only thing that him and my grandma really disagreed on was the air conditioner, and he'd promise it. He'd threaten that he would walk around naked to solve that problem, and I would beg him not to walk around naked. But it was such an oasis. they were planting all kinds of seeds. And I really, really like it. My dad, grandpa was just one of those people where he was, if you were the superintendent of the school district that signed his contract, right, for his small company, or you were the janitor, he saw people and he remembered
Mm,
him and he loved on him and he treated the superintendent or the janitor, and because a lot of times we see the janitor, he treated him exactly the same. And he's to this
mm,
day one of the best examples of that quote: "Preach the gospel at all times, and when necessary, use words." My grandpa really, really walked that out. I can't remember a single conversation about Jesus. I think they took me to church maybe once or twice, maybe a half dozen times in
mm,
the year that I lived there. But man, you want to talk about two people that really, really were very Christ-like in how they they were the up to that point the greatest Bible I'd probably ever read, which was
mm.
I never read the Bible, right? So, but they literally lived it, and so just a year, but super transformational. Tons of seeds planted, watered, but did not fall. Did not fully form until a later time. So super
Yeah.
high there. So I kind of started low, super high. Um, any questions so far? I mean, because I've got a couple more kind of gets us caught up to where we're at, right? Just a few of the
Yeah.
more.
No, I love it. I love
Okay.
it. And I think, I mean, yeah, that question of why am I here, will get us all the way to, even what we're working on right now. But yeah, share a couple more of the
Yeah.
instances that are transformational.
So super, I mean, so big time there. Just really see it. I could tie back to probably why I'm an entrepreneur today. Probably was a seed that was sown in water that became part of my faith journey, although it wasn't at the time. But it was just
Yeah.
again seeds, and I don't know that I'd be an entrepreneur. Also, I didn't really fully understand this until later because I was just kind of a self-centered kid that didn't probably realize it enough. Um, my grandpa was not my blood grandpa. My dad and my dad's dad and his mom split up, and so my whole life he'd been my grandpa, but he wasn't even my blood. So this guy who really, really took me in,
Wow.
probably at the most inconvenient time of his life. Right, his kids are gone. He's like building his business, and then all of a sudden here's this teenage kid, unappreciative, showing up, partially depressed, and he adopted me, man. I mean, like literally not once did I not feel like he's the most real grandpa I ever had.
Mhm.
And so when we talk about
Mhm.
purpose, as we talk about some of the things we're going to talk about, um, that that was just it was amazing of like the impact that was happening there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did it. Ultimately, my dad's third marriage, I was not the problem in their marriage. They ended up not working out. And so not a recovering people pleader at the time. I was afraid to have my dad alone, and I didn't want to disappoint him. So I moved back home. And man, this is probably the most embarrassing part. But like, what happened was I thought everything was going to be better. It was him and I. It's going to be great. Things were different, and they ended up not really being different. Right? There were different versions. I mean, they were different, but they were the same version of different things. And so I really hit
Yeah.
that stage in life where I became just angry. I became rebellious. I became defiant. Um, and I was super selfish. I had when I think about purpose, I had purpose, but it was very weak purpose. It was very self-centered purpose. And that plus again, wrong friends, and again, not any judgment on them. They're all doing great and in different places, but we were just sort of the blind leading the blind. And that led us to get into some trouble. So it started, it started with just a little bit of doing, um, having parties in people's houses, or not houses, open houses. We go into new houses that were being built in Plano, and we'd like unlock a window, pretend we're looking at it, and we go in and throw like a party in it. And then it became, hey, that person left their window open, all their CDs are on their front seat. Let's grab those. So it became stealing, and ultimately became sort of sadly one of my first entrepreneurial ventures. We were breaking into cars and fencing this stuff, and we ended up getting arrested. Had a cops come, gun to my head. I'm 17 years old by a couple of days. I just turned 17, and off I go to jail. And I got thrown into because I would just turn 17. The judge showed me mercy. Uh, Even though I was going to be tried as an adult, he was lenient and he gave me deferred adjudication. And so they put me in like a scared straight program. I spent 30 nights in jail with adults like that were like really, really on the track of like, I'm going to be in jail for a really long time. And the scared straight worked. And so that became uh, a realization for me of the path I was on, and uh, what I was doing in life. Why am I here? Well, this is not working, right? So even though I had never before felt the includedness, the friendship that I felt like brothers with these guys that we were breaking. We were all sort of in similar situations, interestingly at home, but we were just uh, that I felt like I had a brotherhood and we had a purpose and we were making money and we had all these things at a kid. And then all of a sudden I'm in jail and I have like no freedom. And I realized that it was just a complete, I was heading down a really, really tough road that was going to lead to no freedom. And just because my purpose was completely, again, self-centered and aligned. And looking back, I don't
Yeah.
even recognize that kid, but that's who I was. That's what I was going on. That's what I was up to, and so that led to another sort of iteration, which is just a very performative type of like, I'm not going to be like this anymore. I'm going to be the opposite of this. And still to this day, if I find like a pack of gum when my kids were little that slipped into the grocery store that wasn't on the receipt, I would either return it or go pay for it. Right. Like I was like, I'm going to be the opposite of this. Right. And so that became the journey. That became the goal. That became my purpose. I'm going to be a good person. I'm not going to be a thief. And so I'm going to do all the things that good people do. So I paid all the restitution. I worked hard. I worked myself through college. You know, uh, I achieved in every possible way, fulfilled my deferred adjudication. All the charges were dropped. I did, 800 hours of community service. It was just this crazy, when I look back, I don't even know how I made it through. Um, because I had no support structure. My dad at that point, kind of was done and he was still holding out for me, but he showed me some tough love, which I'm really grateful for. From that though, that led to a bunch of success, and I could go through about 20 different stories, but I won't. But that led to a lot of success in the way that most people define success. The
Yeah.
degrees, the freedom. I started making money. Like when you work hard and you have integrity and you don't steal and you don't. It's kind of funny how. And you create value. It's kind of funny how you get rewarded, right? And so
Yeah.
that led through my life for another, almost not quite 10 years until that really started to fizzle and to fade. And um, doing all the things that would be considered moving from, I would say, if I was in a stage of surviving, I'm thriving, but I'm not thriving, and I can't figure out why. And so I, I, I then am seeking, still super selfish, super self focused. I'm going to church groups because I heard there are cute girls. I'm still, doing all the things, but I'm not, um, it's, I don't know what I'm searching for. Right. And so
Yeah.
through a series of miracles, one, seeds planted, again, by going to the church, even though I was looking for girls. I never thought I'd get married, but if I did, I kind of figured I wouldn't meet her at a bar. And I spent too much time hanging out at bars. And so I was like, oh, well, church girl would be good if I was ever going to get married. So I'm going there looking for girls, but meanwhile, I'm getting seeds poured into me and sowed. Um, and through that and some really just what are miracles? If the types of stories that when I tell them, Todd, people, if they don't know you well, they just assume that you're crazy. But I mean, literally miracles where I believe that God really just reached into my life in a lot of ways. And some of them are hard. Like I got carjacked at gunpoint, had a gun to my head. That shook me up pretty good. I still this day, a miraculous intervention into my life that I just don't know how it happened. But I came to the end of myself, and all the seeds that had been planted, watered, etc. Even though I was successful, what I realized was um, the definition of success and meaning that I had been following was meaningless. That it was a dead end,
Hmm.
and that there was something more. And I found that for me, that's something more in a personal relationship with Jesus. And so
Hmm.
I gave my life to Christ, um, and man, I'd need 5 more podcasts to tell you, uh, what I thought that was, which was if I stop doing these 3 things, right, like I'm going to be good with God, to this incredible journey of transformation, of an incredible adventure that I couldn't write in a million years. And I mean, it's rearranged and transformed everything, and
Hmm.
it's so far beyond what I could ever imagine. And then
It's
I couldn't
incredible.
give the punchline of the story of going to church and looking for girls, because I wasn't going to meet my wife in a bar. But the closing story, which is just such a huge part of my story, I couldn't not share it. Which is I met my wife Corey. So
Hmm.
um, we both were invited to a wedding party. We were both in the wedding party. 2 of our friends, Wes and Amy Holcomb, shout out. Uh, they were getting married, and they had an engagement party. And guess where they had their engagement party?
I don't know.
Humperdinck, Humperdinks and
Come
attitude.
on.
Yeah, so only in
Oh,
God's humor, in my mind, anyway. You have to depend where the listener's at. Only in my God's
yeah.
humor will He take. I went to church looking for a girl, and what I instead got was a huge part of the journey to what I really needed, not what I wanted, which was a
Yeah.
relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And then only in His humor can He have me meet my wife at a bar. And by the way, she went to
Come
that
on.
same church. Our first date, we realized that we were at the same church. It was just so big we had never met. So it was really good because
That's
she would have
incredible.
wanted nothing to do with me when I was going to church looking for girls. But as a transformed human being, she was much
Hmm.
more interested.
That's awesome, dude. Thanks for sharing. And what a story, and so much more. And we will talk a ton more in other podcasts. And I mean, your marriage, your intentionality. You guys have worked together. You guys have gone on. I mean, your latest adventure at Barnhill. It's an inspiration to me every time I get to chat with you. Just how you and Corey are partnered in life, and how that impacts everything, and how Christ is at the center. So that's awesome.
Thanks, man.
So as an entrepreneur, your grandpa instilled those values in you. You ran you ran hard after that, and you achieved what every entrepreneur hopes for. You build a company and have an exit. Uh, how was that experience different than what you thought it would be?
How is it different? Um,
Like
it's a
I
great
feel
question.
like I feel like for so many people, that's the finish line.
Yeah.
It's what you work so hard for, and then you
Yeah.
hear all the stories of I woke up the next day
Well,
and so what
and I,
about you? I mean, you wake up the next day, and not that the exit all happens in one day, but just how has the journey after been different
well,
than what you expected?
I think because of what I just shared, it was maybe different than a lot of people experience it. Okay. So I felt right? Like our business, I always saw, I mean, as an insurance brokerage, we're serving insurance, like, I mean, it's like, but for us, it was like a ministry, right? And we love the business. We love the people we work with. We love the people we serve with. I never in a million years thought I was going to sell it. I built the business to be self-managing, to give freedom, to really, really be a vehicle for us to live purposefully in. And so the idea, I really had no intention of selling. I mean, there would be a whole nother, there'd be a whole nother episode of the way that I saw it was led to that decision. But what I would say is I didn't build it to sell it. And in a way, for any entrepreneur listening, no matter where you're at, um, that became extremely beneficial, because when you build something that you don't really want to sell because it's really, really great, other people want to buy it, right? And it's actually really valuable. And so, thanks to Strategic Coach and other programs, but mainly Coach, I had built a self-managing, self-multiplying, purpose-filled company with a whole lot of freedom. Sure, I worked hard. Sure, we had all kinds of like tough things, just like every entrepreneur. But like, I really loved my life. I was not looking to sell, and I really felt led to it. And it was one of those things where um, the way it came about, I was not looking to do it, but I considered that that I was being led to explore it, and so I explored it, and the doors opened, and we joined, right. We had the exit, and so for me, initially I joined with a purpose in mind, which is to fulfill the vision and goals that we had. We had these 10-year BHAG goals, right? This massive vision. We're operating on US. We're growing, high growth. Things are going really well. And our story was there was a $1 billion company that basically had no presence in Texas, and they wanted to use our business as the platform to go and build and buy other companies and bring them in, because we had solved a lot of the problems that most insurance agencies had, which is why we're high growth. And so we came, and so I joined with a purpose, which was to help fulfill that vision, and had no intention. So it was really just an event. It was really um, money that transacted, but I became a shareholder in the bigger thing, and so like I still felt super invested, and I felt super purposed. Um, so probably a little bit different. I guess maybe it was surreal. I guess the little snippet type of story that people like to hear, which is we went to a big dinner the night that we had the check wired and all that stuff into our account, and my wife and I went to a dinner, and it was not one of the nicest steakhouses in Dallas, and I did what I don't ever do. I'm just not wired this way. But I bought they bring that little board out, and they bring like, here's this steak, and it's like the $200 steak instead of like the $60 steak, right? Um, so that night, right? I mean, like it was just like I was like, what the
Yeah.
heck, dude? Like, why not, right? So I bought the incredible steak, all that stuff. I got to tell you, I'm not naming the steakhouse on purpose. I like the steakhouse, but
Yeah.
it was not even that great that night. And that steak that I spent, so it was
Yeah.
like not even, um, and I remember leaving the place, and my wife and I were walking, and there was a fountain outside, and we sat down by the fountain, and I'm just literally sitting there with her and holding her hand. And I remember thinking that uh, I had everything I needed, and it wasn't what was in the bank account. It was what I was holding hands with
Yeah.
right now. And of course, you know, our Lord, right? And so anyway, it was this really, really cool experience. The night of, right? I can share
Yeah.
another fun snippet that people, may relate to, maybe not. I always intellectually understood that money wasn't going to make me happy. I understood that the love of money could be the root of all evil. I understood all these things intellectually, um, and uh, and we're big Dave Ramsey people. We've been debt free. We paid off all of our debt. Like there's a whole journey story behind that. But we so when we had the transaction, it was just like it was abundance, and we already felt pretty blessed, right? Um, and so one of the interesting blind spot surprises was this meeting that I had with my financial advisor at the time, and what they did these like Monte Carlo, like fancy analysis and everything, showed us like all this, spreadsheets of all these different things, and how it all works together. And you put your and and he told me and my wife that if you don't change your lifestyle, like you guys don't have to work anymore. And I remember leaving that like I left that meeting uh, absolutely unnerved. And so that
Huh.
was a little bit of a sneak up. I think that um, I knew all those things, but living them's another thing. And to really like hear that, like, even the suggestion that I wouldn't be working anymore was like almost like it really unnerved me. I didn't love that feeling. And so that over time got impacted in some different ways and led to a lot of what we're doing now, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's awesome. So share some of that. You exit out of the thing that's taken your time day to day. You work there for a little while longer, but still, there is that freedom that you can now essentially do whatever you want. Where have you found, what bullseye have you put your sights on to say, this is where I want to use my time and gifts? These are the impacts I want to make now.
Um, First, I would say I would just lovingly challenge the fact that anybody can't have it wherever they're at. Like literally, like I said, I didn't. We had built a business where I felt purposed every day. I love the people I work with. I love the clients we served. Right, all of our family's needs were provided. We provided a lot. We had a lot of people become debt free. Like it was really, really great. Right, um, and we took lots of like free days with our family. I mean, like even we were taking 155 free days a year, like with no work. I mean, we were not owned by the business. um and so that's possible. I just want to like just challenge the fact that all of that is possible. we were
Totally.
we were active in all the things. um
It's a good word.
Yeah. And so I just think that sometimes is what people believe, right? And
Yeah.
it's not true. And so this just became a transition. What I will tell you is I had started because I had a lot of those faulty traps and mindsets. I'm not condemning anyone because I believed all that too. When I joined Strategic Coach and I joined by $1 and I thought I was the imposter in the room and they're going to find out that I barely qualified and throw me out and I was a total fraud and I shouldn't be in this entrepreneurial program with all these amazing entrepreneurs. When I was thinking all that, I believed all that, but slowly but surely I realized that wasn't true. And as I aligned that with actions and purposefully, put things into motion, and they were blessed and have favor, we experienced a lot of those freedoms. What I will tell you, what was really interesting was the day we're literally. There's a part early in. I don't want to give away Coach's IP, but they're not. But and but I'll tell you that it's obviously you reflect a lot on goals, right? And so I would pray a lot about my goals. Always been very goal focused. I write these goals, and there are goals that I wrote down like when I first joined Coach that they had been so far surpassed in every single category of my life. Everything I had written down, stuff that I believed at the time was absolutely almost impossible. Like I was like, I'm writing down like stuff. It's like I'm just writing. It just sounded like a joke, right? It sounded like a joke. I'm writing
Hmm.
these things down, and I'm just like, but I'm like, I'm writing them down, and then you achieve all those, and then you're told you don't have to work, and you don't right. Well, my whole business I started was because I couldn't figure out how to be an entrepreneur with no money. And so literally I bought a list of a couple thousand businesses in Dallas and I cold called, I begged for meetings and I tried to sell insurance. It was a terrible existence. I don't recommend it. I didn't know how to create value for anyone. I just like begged people and a few people said yes. And like, we learned as we went. But I mean, like, and we were broke. We were living off my wife's teacher income. Like, that's how we started that business, and that's why. And so, but I found a way to have purpose in it and to feel like it was my calling, and I felt like I got to serve people in some really cool ways, story after story, where I felt like, man, this is really great. And then all of a sudden, you don't have that anymore, like, or you don't have to do that anymore. But I was trying to just figure it out where they went, and then all of a sudden, you have this opportunity that is unique, where it's like, hey, um, like, I started feeling the nudge that, like, there wasn't any more there for me.
Hmm.
That was an awesome part of my past, but not my future. And so,
Hmm.
it was very, very scary, because I didn't realize, even though, even though I intellectually again understood that I wasn't my career, I wasn't my business success, I wasn't all that, right? There was I had gotten, many, many premium insurance designations, that I went through tons of school to show everybody all these letters behind my name, alphabet soup, while I was so smart at insurance, and literally feeling called to let that down, to lay all that down, to
Hmm.
leave a business that I had built my life around, that it's fed my family, that I'd made some of my best friends of, but to be feeling led out of that, was scary. Except for, I had this great sense of, like, real clarity on what I would put my energy into, which is helping more people find more freedom, and more growth, and more connected relationships. So I didn't really have, this clear, like, this is the thing. It's been like, just, I'm a little bit like Forrest Gump, man. I'm like, I'm praying real hard. I'm earnest, and I'm hustling, and the adventure continues to be, just incredibly, life giving.
I love it. So I mean, as we've gotten to know each other, I'm always blown away. You do a ton of reflection. You're incredibly self aware. You know, you have done strategic coach. You now facilitate there. You've done a US. You've run a company. You've launched into some other really fun adventures. What have you learned about yourself? Like, what is Stephen Neuner's superpower that you feel like is unique to you, that you offer as a gift to the world?
Huh, that's a what I really think, what I think that shows up most often is that, we're writing a book together, right? And I'm grateful to be a part of it. But, like, to steal from the book, I mean, what I often do best is help people get unstuck and become more alive, right? I help people find freedom for wherever they're at. I help them move to higher levels of freedom, and growth, whether that's their business, personally, professionally, and or in their marriage or whatever. It's just wherever we feel called to, and that shows up and expresses itself through, children's books I've written, Superpowers, the business that we have. We provide executive assistance to entrepreneurs. We provide curriculum, coaching, community, and take great entrepreneurs and match them with great assistants, where their teamwork together helps them achieve more than they could ever dreamt of, and easier and faster, um, to Barnhill, like to the business we have here, where we, invite people onto our property, and we have great live music, and we create, in my opinion, the most connected experience in Dallas. You can go spend a couple $100 at that steakhouse. That's awesome, but I guarantee if you come out here and listen to the music, and come with someone you love, you're going to leave closer. You're going to come with friends that you don't know that well. You're going to leave uh, more connected, in my mind, in a very disconnected world. And so we're making marriages better through that. And we view that as ministry. I mean, the person that doesn't shows up, they may or may not know that, but my sense is they feel loved, they feel taken care of, they feel like they get to experience the beauty. It's an outdoor venue of this property that's been just really blessed, and they get to reconnect with nature, and music brings people together. Throw in a little bit of wine if they like it, and some great food from a food truck, and you got a really unique experience for people.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about the book. Started years ago, wrestling with purpose. You've got 15 years of Apple Notes of ideas, thoughts, lessons. What got you to the place this fall to say, "I'm doing it. I'm jumping in," and uh, the invitation to be along with you. I mean, how did it all come together?
Um, I don't know that I didn't list it as a superpower, Todd, but to your point, I mean, from the earliest days, from when I was little, why am I here? That's a very purpose
Yeah,
related question. So my whole life,
yeah,
as far as I can remember it, like I have memories of it, I remember struggling with like purpose. I didn't have the language for it. I didn't
yeah,
understand it. Right. But I always, purpose has always was something that was important to me. And oddly, and I think this is more of like when I, you know, nearly wrecked my life with the choices I was making, reinforcing, that feeling of, again, my dad never said not good enough, but the choices I was making that landed me in jail, I was now
yeah,
doubling down and reinforcing you're not good enough. Like I was acting out of that. And
yeah,
so once I realized that was a dead end, I think purpose and achievement have always been two strong drivers in my life. And so when you have that combination, I think that it's not something that I chose. I really feel like it chose me, and I feel like it's been something that I've wrestled with, and I don't. I don't love the idea of being stuck. I don't like when I realize that I'm in a pitfall and I'm I'm dead end and I'm in a tough spot and I feel disconnected and disheartened and depressed and whatever all the things that can happen when you feel lost in the wilderness. Which can happen to anyone. I've felt those things when I've been at what the people would say is the pinnacle of success. And I felt those things when I was at my lowest of lows. They didn't escape me. So when you do that, you want to try to how to not stay in the pit, you know?
yeah,
And so,
yeah,
yeah. And so I really feel like it chose me. I wrestled with it, wrestled with it. Had the idea for the book a long time ago. But because of, I think, the personal nature of it, and the fact that I've wrestled so much and that I haven't by any means arrived on this thing. This is still a journey that I'm on. This is something I still struggle with. Um, I think really just caused me to it just took time to marinate, right? Hopefully,
yeah,
the end experience here is going to be a crock pot, right? It's just purpose isn't something you microwave, right?
yeah. And so one of the things along the way that you created is the Purpose Illuminator tool. How has that shaped the way you see your day? How has that been a rhythm in your life that's been transformational?
Uh, yeah, I mean, so when you wrestle and you pay attention and you're part of communities where you're reflecting on and trying to learn from, watch your game footage, watch your patterns. What are you falling? Where are you falling into traps? Where are you getting stuck? Like all those types of things. You start to build, like, realize that that's a good habit, right? Like, hey, what's going on with my business? Why are we not hitting these numbers? What's going on here? Let's dig into it. Let's figure it out, right? So I just couldn't help. I think the achievement part of me couldn't help but sort of like, okay, why do I keep getting into these spots, right? And
Yeah,
where and for me, what I recognize over a period of time, there are a series of uh, patterns that I recognize for myself. And the more I've been blessed to be a part of different communities and stuff, I thought they were unique to myself, but I really realized that they're sort of like everybody struggles with them, or nearly
yeah,
everybody I've met, right? And so, uh, for me, as I recognize the traps, the pitfalls, the things that I fall into, right? The tool was designed to help me stay out of them, and that has been that was the why I designed it. I designed it, I say, but it really was an Excel spreadsheet that I filled out for myself every day. And it evolved over time as I found new pitfalls. So the first one, that the first part of where I, saw, like, as I was observing, is very often where I would struggle and have the most regret and feel like I really missed an opportunity to live purposefully. It was when I was too self-centered, right? Too self-focused. And
Hmm.
so I realized, and so that became a part of the tool, right? Like, how do I, what's the impact? What's the biggest difference I can make for them? Putting myself in someone else's shoes, you know, uh,
Hmm.
beyond the golden rule, like, just like, actually, like, not just like what would I want done for myself, but like, if I was that other person, what would I want someone to do for me? And so the more I could start, like, as part of my daily practice, like, just start thinking about other people in that way. And that was, um, um, as a follower of Jesus, that seemed like, man, that's a pretty aligned thing, right? So that sort of got me out of that trap, right? And then as I wrestled with purpose and I'm struggling with purpose, I got to the point where, as a new believer, I really I fell into the fallacy of this idea of, like, uh, the way that I understood the burning bush and the way that I understood, Moses in the wilderness and the bush that was not to be consumed by the fire, and is the voice of God, and go let my people go. They've made Disney movies about this, right? So anyway, like, I literally, I found myself constantly um, looking, hoping, waiting, praying, Lord, please show me what you want me to do. Like, what is my life for? What do you want me to do? What's the thing you want me to do? I mean, you even asked me in this conversation, right? What's the thing, right? That's what people like inherently want to do that, like, right? Uh, and what I found, like, what I noticed after, like, wrestling this for way too long, I'm embarrassed to say it, I realized that for whatever reason, like, God wasn't, like, like I wasn't getting the burning bush, right? And meanwhile, I noticed that I was convicted of that. I was, like, walking around and, like, ignoring burning bushes all around me. They're like little
Hmm.
smoldering things, right? Like,
That's
little
great.
opportunities to just be useful and impactful and purposeful with people, right? And so that became part of the tool. It's like, hey, like, like, that became part of the tool, right? And then, because I didn't get that voice from God that was going to tell me, and again, it would make even more sense that I'd expect that, because, quite honestly, I believe that I would, like, the way I came to know Jesus was miraculous, right? So now I'm in this spot where, like, I'm, like, waiting, like, God's like, man, there's something big going on here, right? And I'm waiting
Yeah.
for this, like, specific. But what I found was, like, just, and I was looking for the big thing too. Like, it had to be this big thing, right? And what I realized is that there are all these little things as I started stop focusing on myself, focusing on others, little things as I paid attention, ways that I could be of service. They were little small, they started to become bigger fire. But still, I was waiting for the big audible voice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Still waiting for it. And what happened then was, then I started really falling into another fallacy of the way I understood things in the church a little bit, which was just like that fell in. It's like, well, God can't use me because I haven't cleaned up, right? And
Hmm.
so
Yep.
I've got all these problems and issues, and all this baggage I'm carrying, and I need to deal with it, right? And I'm not knocking it, right? This really good things came from that. I started getting Christian counseling. I started reading books on relationships. I started having conversations with people from
Hmm.
my past that I had hurt, that I went and I asked for their forgiveness from. Like, that was like, just, and they didn't all give it, right? Some of them were like, go F yourself, right? But I went and I acted on just trying to, like, restore all the things that, like, that I could at least recall or would come to my mind or whatever. Like, I would do that. And I would work on my discipline, and I'd work on my, or took high levels of ownership for, like, no, like, it's like, it's up to me to clean this up and to build myself where God can use me. And so what I found in that, after a period of time, again, I'm embarrassed to admit it, but too much time really in that zone, thinking that eventually that would unlock the burning bush. Like I'm like, I'm going to clean myself up, be used for God. Well, what I found was sadly that led me into another pit. There was
Hmm.
no end to the amount of things that I need to improve in my life, and no end to the days that I have. I'm really committed to something, but for some reason my discipline doesn't follow through. I'm gonna do the good thing, say the good thing, and I would fold up like a lawn chair, and I'd be, and then I'd be like, "What's wrong with me?" And then it's like just this is like another pit. Um, and I continue to, I think that I overcame a character flaw, right? Um, Only later to find that I ran into again in a different form of packaging, right? And so again, that
Hmm.
became part of the tool. So again, how do I take these things as I'm learning them and say, okay, like how do I get better at identifying when how do I keep myself from even falling into these pitfalls, right? Because what I found is again, if I'm only looking inward and I'm only,
Yeah.
burning bush, I'm only waiting for God, and it's got to be big, and I'm missing, and if I'm only looking inward and I'm just trying to dig and peel the layers of the onion back and clean all the stuff up, both of those I'm missing what I believe is the biggest unlock to purpose, which is all the people around us, right? I don't believe, like,
Yeah.
again, I'm not condemning the idea of looking to God and Lord, what do you have for me, and seeking, uh, seeking first, right? Uh, and I have I think it's really good for us to go in and do work and restore, but if those are the only two lanes we're running and we're not connecting that somewhere with the day-to-day people that we interact every day, um, I'm just pigging out at the all you can eat buffet line, right? Either way.
Hmm.
And so then that became like, so how do I look up? How do I go inward? And I know where my typical patterns are, or where, and then how do I take action? How do I plan? How do I live differently, intuitively knowing where I'm going to struggle? And it's in the intersection of
Yeah.
that I found maybe the framework a lot for this book is that purpose is a habit, right? And so like literally
Yeah.
the freedom I found in purpose, and I've never felt more purposeful when I'm just living purposefully and I'm connecting
Yeah.
this and I'm connecting this and I'm putting it into action in the field to love on the people that I are brought in contact with every day.
Yeah. That's rich, man, and I love hearing you talk about it. I mean, just as we've chatted back and forth, just that idea of it's a daily habit. It is something that you can find purpose in everything you're doing. It's a perspective. There is opportunities to see and live out who you've been designed to be if you'll just open your eyes. But the pitfalls become blinders. We're too busy waiting around for something that we miss out what's right in front of us, and that's just been it's been such a fun thing to walk through with you in this process, to hear about your habits. I mean, you hear the statement, we're nothing more than a sum of our habits, and I see you use that to the full. I mean, just putting in place things in your life. You've got the tool. I love also, when we were at the house eating dinner, I can't remember if it was M&Ms or pennies or something, but every day that you
Marbles.
transfer over marbles, yep, sorry, before your daughter goes off to college, you're the intentionality you live life with is inspiring. It's humbling. Just that we can blow through life looking at something else, making sure that to-dos get done on the list each day, making sure the emails get returned, so we can lay our head on our pillow, wake up the next morning, and do it all over again, and we miss the opportunities that are right in front of us. How did you get to that? I mean, like, you don't just wake up one morning and say, "Boy, I'm going to be really intentional." In fact, a lot of people try, and then they're pulled back in by the momentum of life. Like, was there anything that inspired you that you can point to, or do you feel like it was just a accumulation of learnings along the way?
both both and I mean, right? So like the story I shared, why am I here? So a lot of
Yeah,
those are things that happen to me. Some of them are actions been taken that are like, where I'm happening to things or whatever, right? But I mean, like, you know, and I think that you just there's two things that come to mind. So Dan Sullivan's one of my favorite people. And one of the quotes he has when you walk into strategic coach is there's a quote on the wall, and our eyes only see, his quote is, our eyes only see and our ears only hear what our mind's looking for. Right. And
Hmm.
so from the earliest age, I can remember, I just shared with you, I can't remember when I haven't thought about purpose. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, like certainly I'm not like forgot about it for the moment, or I'm doing good with it, and like, oh, I've arrived, and like, oh, and then all of a sudden you start feeling like when you're used to that momentum of feeling like just really alive and in purpose, and then all of a sudden it starts feeling clunky. You wanna check in on it, right? So um, I guess what I'm saying is, there's a sense of once you've experienced that kind of walk, that kind of momentum, that kind of you know purpose, because when you're looking for it, you see it. Um, you don't want it to stop. Like
You
you
crave it.
want that
You crave it.
momentum to keep going. Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what would you say if there's a young entrepreneur listening who's getting after it and successful? They're experiencing, some of the plenty from their hard work, and they realize, holy cow, I think I'm working so hard because I'm trying to answer a question that I grew up wondering. Am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? Why am I here? How would you encourage them to begin the process, like crawl, walk, run towards purpose, to get out of the pit, to become unstuck? What would just a quick synopsis of what you'd share with them?
I would say first thing that came to mind was when I stopped thinking about purpose as this mountaintop that I needed to reach. That alone was incredibly freeing. When I could actually realize
Yeah.
that I may or may not ever get the burning bush, I may get 100 of them, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, but literally just like scrapping that and saying, okay, like I'm just going to like, all I have is today. All I have is right now. Right. And so
Yeah.
the more that you can start just not someday late, maybe like, but like right now, like just start paying attention. Right. I mean, just pay
Okay.
attention because yeah,
So first thing, I mean, perspective shift. Just change how you're seeing it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, it doesn't need a lot of words. Yes. Um, those questions will be answered, but they're not answered in the way that I think we try to answer them.
Yeah.
And I think it's
It's good.
just paying attention and like living purposefully is if you're an entrepreneur, is the greatest value creator ever. We literally live in a world right now with AI, the smartest person, I don't care who you are, AI is smarter, right? So if you hung your hat on, I'm the smartest guy in the room, sorry, dude, I can chat GPT and I
Yeah.
know more than you probably, right? Uh,
Yeah.
Autonomous, mowers and robot, all these things are coming, right? And so for me, like it's more important now than ever to understand like how to live purposefully, how to live intentionally in the relationships that are all around us. And whatever your business is, that's what it is. These robots, these AI, they're wonderful. What I see most entrepreneurs doing right now is they're stripping value because they're just trying to save money and they're seeing, okay, well, how do I do this faster, easier, cheaper, better for me? I see very few entrepreneurs saying, how can I use these tools to create more value? How can I unleash my team members to have a bigger impact? Like, how do we create more value for the people we're serving? And so I
Yeah.
just think that is just a huge unlock.
Yeah. It's awesome. What I hear you say is, don't undervalue your perspective. I mean, think about how you think about it. And then also, and a little teaser in the book, but maybe the map that I've been given is not completely right. That, it has some truth to it, but if I stick to this map as ultimate truth, it's not gonna take me to the destination it says it will. and that at some point in life we got to get off the trail. We've got to get into uncharted territory and start to see differently. Quit trying to just be a little better than the next guy and just be yourself.
Be yourself and like just pay attention, right? Like it will
Yeah.
show up for you, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Love it. Ah, it's good stuff, man. Um, anything else you want to say about the book?
Um, man, I'm really excited. I'm excited to be doing it with
Yeah.
you. This is a journey I've struggled
Mm.
a lot with. We created the tool with it. It is a tool that has really, really helped me, and has really created all kind. I mean, the biggest struggle I've had on this podcast that I haven't had really anywhere else, Todd, is just like everything. The journey I've been on, the stories I've been on, they sound fantastical, and they need too much time to talk, like to be able to get through like a single thing, right? And so,
Yeah.
um, I know that this tool is helpful and useful. Um, Way Forward has been far and away one of
Mm.
the Misogi type, just like the ultimate purpose type filled experience. And so I'm just excited to be doing it with you and connecting the rugged plains of the wilderness with the rugged world of entrepreneurship. And I'm just excited for what the book's going to do and what we're going to do together.
Yeah. And what would your hope be? Somebody reads the book, a couple years down the road. What are they experiencing life that's different from the book?
Freedom, freedom. I mean, the book title, Unstuck and Alive, right? Like not getting stuck in these pits and traps and everything else, right? I mean, and hanging out so long, right? Like one of the most
Yeah.
humbling things that happened, like as we've been working on this book together, is I go through 15 years of Apple Notes as I've had these lightning bolt experiences with purpose, and I'm like, man, this is so good. I got to capture this, right? Um, Doing that and being so like certain of the moment when I'm putting down, and then going back through 15 years, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the same thing as this. I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I'm hitting the same pits. They're just slightly different package. That's not even new thinking. All of that stuff was super humbling and almost depressing. But the thing that I
Yeah.
recognized I went through it is this idea that, man, you know what? I got stuck less and I didn't stay there as long. And all of the negative
Hmm.
things I did whenever I got stuck, when I was trying to sort it out, I didn't do nearly as many of those things. And so I know that I'm better and I'm healthier for it. And so my hope is that they're just mind shifts, tool or not.
Yeah.
People can load their mind the right perspective to help them get more freedom and growth in life.
Love it. Stephen, and this adds value. You add value to my life every time we talk. I am 100% convinced and want to be your biggest fan that you add value to everybody's life that comes encounter with you. And I'm excited to be on the journey with you. I'm excited for people to hear this. Like your story, your humility, your intentionality is a gift. And I want more people to get to experience that. You are a guide that helps people see what they're not seeing and gives them an opportunity to get unstuck. And I love that. You don't claim to be the guru, you don't claim to have it all figured out, but you want to be an open book that helps people along the way, and that's a gift. And so this is one of many. I'm sure we'll have lots of times to jump on podcasts together and lead this podcast together and interview folks together. And it's a joy. I'm excited to be on the journey with you. Thanks for the time today, and I pray it's a blessing for everybody who listens.
Thanks, brother.
Love you,
Back at
brother.
you. Love you
You
too,
bet.
buddy. See you.